Earlier this year, I uploaded a video titled Accidents in the Amusement Industry 2021, which turned out to be generally successful, ranging at over 1K views. Well, since that video came out, and because it's 2021, there have just been so many more tragic events that have occurred, which is why I decided to make a part 2 to the original video. So with all this said, this is part 2 of Accidents in the Amusement Industry 2021. Starting things off with a literal bang, two of the Jersey Devil coaster trains collided in Sloan Station, similar to the accident on Shivering Timbers, although it does look like this collision was taken at a much slower speed. No one was injured in any way, but the impact definitely created an interesting scenario. Anyway, over at Six Flags Hurricane Harbor Splashdown, a chemical leak left dozens needing treatment after experiencing skin irritation and respiratory issues. The chemicals were likely a mix of bleach and sulfuric acid, which of course isn't good to touch, let alone swim in. There have also been multiple reports of guest injuries at the Universal Orlando Resort and on Dododumpa at Fuji-Q Highland. The Dododumpa injuries have most commonly been reported to be neck and spine related, which creates the high possibility they could have been caused from the ride's 112-mile-per-hour launch. The injuries coming from Universal Orlando haven't fully been revealed to the public as of yet, but they were likely due to the park's busy crowds. Two accidents I ended up missing in my last video were the broken lift chain on Demon at Six Flags Great America and the rider who was injured on the Glamberg Mountain Coaster. Demon seemed to be closed for most of the summer season, which coincidentally was about the same thing that happened to Gatekeeper, although the Glamberg Mountain Coaster had a more fatal accident, as a rider was thrown from the moving vehicle onto the track, suffering head, wrist, and ankle injuries. Over at Cedar Point, an L-shaped metal rod struck a woman in the head while waiting in line to ride Top Thrill Dragster. She was immediately treated by medical staff and a trip to the hospital. Since then, the riders remain closed, and only time will tell if or when it will ever reopen. The Branson Mountain Coaster injured the young boy, sending him to the hospital and temporarily closing the coaster. The 11-year-old boy apparently stood up from the coaster as it hit the brake run, but as it was rolling back into the station, he was startled and fell over off the moving vehicle. These last two accidents do involve death, so your discretion is advised. At Lagoon, a man fell to his death on the Sky Ride. It did look like he wasn't struggling to get back in the ride vehicle, and from the position he was in, this might have been an intended action. At Glenwood Caverns, a 6-year-old girl fell to her death on the Honda Mine Drop Drive Tower. She was seemingly sitting on top of her restraint system as the ride started, of course leaving her fully exposed during the ride duration. From these two videos alone, these amusement attractions aren't looking the safest at the moment, but remember that you have a better chance of getting crushed by a vending machine than actually dying on a ride, let alone getting seriously injured from one, which all just proves that when taken care of, these amusement rides are some of the safest and funnest experiences you can receive. Thank you all so much for tuning in to part 2 of this mini video series. Make sure to consider subscribing as well as coming back in the future for more uploads, and I'll see you in the front row.